Welcome back to Lee Pitts Live. We're here at the beautiful Naples Botanical Garden, and the accommodations have just been outstanding. We're here at the lake view of the garden, which is about a 40-acre property here in beautiful Naples. Thanks for hosting Lee Pitts Live this month. We have a wonderful show in store for you today. We get a chance to talk to an engineer. The head of Daniels Engineering is here, Daniel Brock. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, as usual.
I will tell you that in my many years of doing Lee Pitts Live, I did have a nuclear physicist on the show back in 1994. And now I have an engineer, so all the smart guys are coming through here.
Here you go.
First of all, welcome to Lee Pitts Live, and congratulations on the success of your engineering firm.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Appreciate you. Always good to see you.
What is Daniels Engineering?
Daniels Engineering, to give you a little background of what we do, we are a we're actually a civil design firm. So what we do a lot of utility work. We're based out of Fort Myers. Most of our work, it spans from Tampa all the way down to Marco Island. So we work with a local public utility company, TICO People's Gas.
Okay.
And what we do is we do survey work out in the field. We do design and permitting for TICO. Majority of our work is in the natural gas business, but we also do a lot of fiber installation work also. And then I'm a civil engineer, so my background is like roadway design, water, sewer, drainage work. So I've had a lot of experience, but primarily we do utility work.
What inspired you to go into that field?
Wow, good question. Well, it's funny you say that because when I went to college, my major was actually pre-med. So how does a pre-med student turn into an engineer? Well,
and it's about 6'5", 6'6".
6'6". Right. So I'm playing
But
basketball.
You did hoop.
I did play basketball, but then I came in as a pre-med major. My desire is always to be a doctor, but eventually, I got a chance to kind of meet some people, and then I got introduced to engineering by a young lady. Actually, I was dating in college. She was a civil engineer major, and she was like, "Hey, you might want to try this." So as I started getting into the field, I started realizing, hey, I think I might like civil engineer. So, obviously I went through the curriculum, graduated in 2002 from the prestigious FAMU FSU College of Engineering in Tallahassee. And my career began here in Fort Myers. I used to work for the Department of Environmental Protection.
I see.
And then as I, got in experience, and I started bouncing around in different companies to gain an experience. And then back in 2013, I started Daniels Engineering. I was actually just a contractor for the gas company, and then everything else kind of went from there. So yeah, we've been in business for going on 12 years now.
Now, early on in your life, were you always tinkering with things, or you always kind of numbers oriented, math oriented? Just give us a little background on some things that early on in your life kind of said that this was suited for you.
Absolutely, yeah. My wife will tell you too. I'm a natural perfectionist, so I'm always paying attention to the details. They say, quote unquote, the devil's in the detail. I may not use that terminology in a sense because that could be a little negative if you think about it. But the detail is what paints the picture, right? If you look around where we're at, it's all the small details that really paint the picture. And being an engineer, you have to pay attention to details. If you're designing a road, you got to make sure the curve of that road is at a certain radius. If you're designing a gas pipe or a water pipe, the pipe has to be at a certain depth. Obviously, you want to consider public health as number one. So all those attentions to details really matters when you're putting together a set of plans and you presented those plans for either a permit or you use those plans for construction.
I noticed when you were walking back here in the garden, you were just observing different things.
Oh, yeah.
That's just a natural thing. And even when you're moving around in society, you're noticing where engineering comes into play everywhere, and where mistakes and where good things are done all the time.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's funny because my son, he actually works for me now. So he's getting ready to graduate from FSW, the collegiate high school. So he's going to be a freshman at FGCU next year, and he wants to be a civil engineer. And he's walking with me, and I'm pointing out little things, and he's like, "Wow, Dad, I didn't realize there's so much that when you're actually you're in the business, you really start noticing things that you wouldn't necessarily notice when you just out and about not paying attention."
So he may migrate into the firm down the road.
Oh, he's already he's an employee, so he's getting
I love it, man. I love it. I met the little guy. I didn't know he was on that trajectory already.
Well, he ain't little now. He's about close to 6'5". So I'm actually looking him in his eyes right now. So.
What? What engineering services do you provide? People who are out there may say, I could use his firm for something. You do big and small jobs?
Absolutely. We do, like I said, we are a design permitting firm. We do a lot of survey work. So we do stakeout. We'll stake out, proposed right-of-way lines. We do stakeouts for gas lines or water lines. We also do a lot of like data collecting, GPS, GIS survey. We also do permitting. So we do a lot of permitting from Tampa all the way down to Marco Island. Like I said, we're a design firm, so we do big or small jobs. I've done, big box stores. I've designed CVS's, Walgreens, Walmart's, site development jobs like that. I've done some municipal work where we design their roadway work. So as a civil
engineer, those people out there with those vests on, those hats, with those look like some kind of measuring things and all that. That's you guys.
Yep, that's us. Yep.
Isn't that interesting? And I would assume that, I think you said your firm had about 7 people, but you also have a lot of contractors that work up under you.
Right. So on staff we have 7 people. Obviously, if we get a workload that might be too heavy for us, we'll team up with other companies and we'll contract out some of the work. But mostly we like to keep the work in-house.
Okay, get all the money.
We try. I got to keep my employees happy. Right?
So the field of engineering, people who are looking here, of course, they noticing that your skin is brown, and we don't see many people like you, smart people, 6'5", and could have been a basketball player, but you focused on your intellect. I want you to be able to say something to people who are watching and to the children about the importance of the books.
Oh, absolutely. It's very important. I mean, I grew up, I had that aspiration or that dream to be an NBA basketball player, right? But without the books, you can't get to the next level, right? So if you're a great student, you want to be a good student athlete, right? So in order to be a good student athlete, you got to study just as hard as you on the football field or in the basketball court. You have to exert that same desire and dedication in your books, because you can't go to school, you can't go to college without having the grades, right? So I always teach my kids, number one is education first, right? Because we have to teach, we have to be able to learn something. You got to have to have some type of trade, whether it's you a plumber, engineer, scientist, mathematician, whatever it is. You need to have some type of trade. On that same level, we have teamed up with the National Society of Black Engineers at FGCU. And what I've done over the years, I've probably hired about 10 students out of there as interns.
Okay.
And what we do, we'd like to bring them in as interns while they're still in college to kind of see what it's like to work in a corporate environment. Albeit small, but we do so much, it's a good microcosm of what you're gonna see when you get out in the big world.
So you actually have that as part of your mission to mentor and to educate the next generation so
Absolutely.
They can demystify a lot of what's going on in the field.
Absolutely, yeah, because when I came up in the industry, I didn't get that, right? So for me, it's like a lot of things you're being taught in college, you may not see it when you actually go to work. So we're teaching them not only the technical side, but how to be a professional, working in an environment, how to dress, what business etiquette, how to communicate. So all those things that you need to know in this industry to be successful, that's what we teach.
When those various hurricanes have come through here, how has that impacted the way you go about your job? I would assume that you guys had to go out and redo some things. The hurricane had damaged some roads. And
Absolutely.
Talk about the wires coming down and just how engineering played into that.
Right. Well, in this area, Southwest Florida got hit pretty hard in the last couple of years. You had Hurricane Ian, you had Hurricane Helene. Well, the major issue that we all fear is flooding, right? They talk about the storm surge and all the flooding that comes about it. So as engineers, we are required to design, whether it's the finished floor of your house or the crown of the road, or everything has to be designed to sustain different flood levels, right? So as engineers, these different flood events is actually now we got to go back to the drawing board and say, how can we prevent this? How can we prevent downtown from flooding? How can we prevent some areas from flooding? So now, as engineers, we're on the forefront. So we have to come back and reassess and make sure these areas don't have, get flooded again.
Speaking of downtown Fort Myers, I recall your firm was once downtown. Is it still there, or where is it now?
No, well, unfortunately, Hurricane Ian was the reason why we had to move. So we had moved inland, but we were downtown right there near the in the Riverside district area, right downtown where the big Luminary Hotel was. But unfortunately, during Hurricane Ian, that whole area got flooded. So we were forced to move inland. But I love that area, and it's a great area.
We have a lot of school teachers who are listening to this, and principals. They can see you as a role model.
Absolutely.
Are you willing to go out and talk to some of the schools and the classes and step in there?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, teaching is actually my next profession. So I always tell people that when I'm ready to hang it up as an owner and an engineer, I'm gonna take my talents in somebody's college. So yeah, I'd love to be a teacher, and even as just a mentor. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna be a professor one day.
Who are you partnering with, and how's your firm impacting the community?
Right now, we are partnering. Like I said, we partnering with the local chapter of National Society of Black Engineers at FGCU. We also are members of the American Society of Civil Engineers. And then there's another group we're part of, APWA, which is America's Public Works Association. So we like to be a part of different organizations. So why? Because engineering is a very small field. So you got to be able to have contacts with civil engineers, surveyors, mechanical engineers. So that way we can all, work together. So yeah.
Do you get involved with construction of apartment complexes, gated communities, home designs, and things of that nature as well?
We're not in the construction side, but in the engineering, you're either in the design, the permitting, or even the post-construction phase. So yeah, even though we're not actually out there moving dirt, but we're out there assisting the contractor, making sure if there's any issues in the field and we may have to go back and redesign something, we're there, always on.
We see a phone number coming up from time to time on the screen, but I want you to get that phone number verbally as well.
Okay, you can reach us at 239-628-2375.
Early on, you mentioned civil engineering.
Right.
That's a particular type of engineering as just opposed to some other forms of engineering.
Right.
What is civil engineering in a Sesame Street way?
Sesame Street, just to make it real plain, civil engineer is what most people see every day. If you're on a road and you're driving, there's a civil engineer that designed that roadway. Okay. If you turn on that faucet in your house to drink that water, there was a civil engineer that designed that pump station or that water treatment plant to get water to your tap. If you're in a restaurant, like my wife owns a restaurant, if we're using natural gas, there was a civil engineer that designed that pipeline to that restaurant.
Shout out to Southern Charm, give a little plug.
I always have to.
Being out here in this atmosphere and all these beautiful trees, how did that hit you in this setting that we're in right now?
Oh, it's beautiful. You can see where it's probably just a big wetland area, but you can see it was some engineer or some architects that came in here and just brought this to life. So it's beautiful.
It was a big wetland, huh?
Oh,
like
yeah,
the Everglades. You know all that.
Absolutely.
So they bring in all this dirt and everything and just transform it.
And transform it, yep.
Wow.
And turn it into a masterpiece that it is.
Engineer.
That's the beauty about engineering. It's like you can literally take something and you make a whole lot out of it.
If I'm a child or I'm in college right now and I'm interested in the field, recommend some stuff that I do, read or just start exploring to learn more about in the engineering field.
Well, let's say if you're an aspiring, because most kids don't really know what they want to do or have an idea until they get to high school, right? So if you're a high school student and you're aspiring to be an engineer, what I would say, you want to pick a school that is a technical school, whether you go to Florida State, where I went to, University of Florida. I'm trying to give my shout outs to my state schools. But if you go outside of the state, Georgia Tech is a great university. So you want to go to a school that can give you the education that you can become licensed. Because as an engineer, it's a process. Like you get a degree, then you have to become licensed, then you have to have work experience. So there's a process. Right now, I'm a professional licensed engineer in the state of Florida. That required obviously a 4-year degree, but then I had to get work experience, then I had to take a license exam. Just like a lawyer, a doctor, we all have to be licensed.
You have to keep that renewed from time to time?
You have to, every 2 years, our license comes up for renewal, and you have to have what they call CEUs, or continuing education units, or continuing education hours. Because as an engineer, you don't want to get complacent. You have to always be adapting to technology. You have to always be trying to educate yourself, because it's a revolving field.
So if you got any engineering needed, think Daniels Engineering Inc.
That's right.
And they'll be Johnny on the spot.
Johnny on the spot.
Well, Daniel, it's been a pleasure to have you on the show. Looking forward to getting you back in the future.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you.
Let me bump you out. As the saying goes on this particular show, for those who say it can't be done, they're usually interrupted by those like Daniel and all the fine people at Daniels Engineering. And remember, Miami might have the oranges, but Daniels Engineering has got the
juice.
They got the juice. We're here at the fabulous Naples Botanical Garden, and we'll be right back.
Lee Pitts Live is a Lee Pitts Enterprise production.
Hello everybody, this is Lee. I'm so glad that you watched that particular show, and if you enjoyed that show, we got other shows like that. Just subscribe to our YouTube channel, watch Lee Pitts Live on demand anytime, and also hit us up on all our social media platforms. Just type in Lee Pitts Live, and there you go.